Hi, my name's Dave Milson. Today we're looking at the SimStep motor controllers. Today we'll be looking at the benefits of the SimStep. We'll be looking at the part codes, we're looking how to set it up, and we'll also be running an encoded motor on the software that is supplied. So this is the SimStep controller, which is a single axis unit. It just simply has a on switch on the front, and then on the back you have the connections, which we'll go into a bit later. The advantage of the SimStep is, as I say, it's a single axis controller, so you can link these up to 99 of these together. So if you've got an experiment you're doing that you're running, say 3 or 4 motors, and then the experiment finishes, you can literally take apart the SimStep, undo all the links, reset the inside, and then you can use them as standalone units. This also comes in a case if you want, so you can put 3 of these into a 3U unit. The SimStep controllers are housed in a screened enclosure. This resists electromagnetic radiation, so these conform with the latest European safety directives. The cover here is removable for the settings inside the controller, which we'll show you later. So we go through the part codes of the items on the table here, and we'll start with the SimStep. You can buy this in 2 versions. You can buy this with a set of cables, which gives you your encoder, your limits and your motor. They come in 5 meters. If you buy these, the part code of that is SimSet 1 and SimSet 2. The 1 is 240 and the 2 is 110. You can also buy this just by itself, which is the Z-Sim 240 or Z-Sim 110 for the 110 or 240. Then the cables, these come in 3, 5 or 10 meter lengths. This cable here is the limit cable. If you have the limit cable, this has got a DIN type, and this fits to the DIN type connector, which goes on to the micro switch. The part code of this cable is ZMOT-LD, and then the length, either 3, 5 or 10. Then we have the encoder lead. If you have an encoder, the encoder lead is the ZMOT-EN03, 5 or 10. And then we have the motor lead. This comes in 2 versions. We normally wire in parallel, but we also do series. So if you have the parallel cable, it's the ZMOT-PL, and if it's the serial, it's the ZMOT-SL. Then we have the Jog Box. The Jog Box comes in 2 versions. We either have a single or 2 axis, which is this one, or we have the multi-axis. So here we have the jog. This can be run by itself. You don't need to connect this with a computer or laptop. We do 2 versions of this. We do the 1 or 2 axis, or the 3 to 99 axis. The 1 or 2 axis is the Z-Sim Jog 2, and the multi-axis is the Z-Sim Jog M. So let's take a close look at the back of the unit. On the unit you can see here we have the limits. So if you've got limit switches which are up and lower, you can plug those in here. If you don't have limits, you need to put a terminator on here, because the controller runs with the normally closed switches. We have encoder here, so this unit comes as standard with encoder option or non-encoded. You just have to change the switch inside. An I/O input. Down here we have the RS232, which is an in and an out. Again, if you link these together, you need to put a terminator on the end of the very last unit so it knows it's got to the end. And then we have the jogs here, which you have a jog connection, and also the jog link wires go into here between the units. When you buy the SimStep with a driver manipulator, it comes fully configured. But what I'm going to do here is just show you how and where the switches are inside. So should you want to split this out once you've done your experiment or whatever, you can. So we just remove the lid, which is held on by a few screws. And the switching we need to be looking at is the switching. You see there's 2 sets of switches here. It's the lower one, which sets the amperage, We always usually leave these set to 3.5 for most of ours, so you probably won't need to touch that again. The switching that will be important to you is if you've got this, say, set up for 5 units, it's these switches here, well, they're just turn dials, and you can see at the moment this one's set to 1, so this is for unit 1. If this was 2, 3 or 4, then you would count round for each unit. If you've got 10 or more, then for instance, say you had 10, this would be set at 1 and this would be set at 0. So just to explain a little bit about the motors that we use, we have the 2 types in front of us. This is the non-encoded and this is the encoded version. The encoded version is often also known as the closed loop, and this is known as an open loop system. The reason this is called a closed loop system is because the encoder counts the steps that the motor has travelled, so you know that the motor has travelled that distance. These motors have 400 half steps. Each half step is 0.9 of a degree. So that's 400.9 degrees, gives you 360 degrees rotation. The connectors we use are the QM8s, and this is the D-type which will go into your lead that goes to your unit. So in this video we've looked at the benefits, we've looked at the part codes, and we looked at some of the features that the SimStep has. In the second video we will show you how to set the SimStep up and how to use the software. Hope you enjoyed our video and please subscribe to our channel.